What is up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Somewhat Sports Podcast. My name is Chris, and I am joined by that's right, two, not one, two of the titans of the sports media, analyst, industry, whatever you want to call it, Jurg and Dame. How are we this week, Dame? I know you just got back from skiing in Vermont because you're rich. How was that?
Correct. It literally was not Vermont. It was Pennsylvania because I'm not rich. It was a nice, cheap getaway from New York, even though it's colder over there. But I had a good time with me and my friends.
Mm.
Skiing wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. I fell a lot, but I learned, and yeah, hopefully I go back soon.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I'm always excited to be recording, but I'm always happy when it's all three of us. I always miss it when one of you guys is out. So damn, I'm happy you're back. I'm happy.
I'm not.
The trio is back. The trio is back. The big three is back. We're here to break everything down. Another week, another episode. Let's go, boys.
Yes, let's go indeed. All right, fellas. Yeah, Dame, in case you missed it last week and in case you were a scumbag and didn't listen to the episode, which I'm
Oh
pretty
my
sure you
god.
didn't, we talked about the wild card round. Very, very newsworthy type of week because of all the storylines that came out that wild card round, that wild card weekend. And yeah, I think this week won't be as, I guess, stuffed because there was only, I believe, 4 games.
Yeah.
Uh, we will be discussing what transpired, the results. We'll be reviewing and recapping the winners of last week's divisional round, and we'll also be predicting the conference championship games as well. But we also have NHL news from ours truly, Jurg. So, Jurg, why don't you start us off like you always masterfully do and talk to us, bud? What do you got?
So a couple weeks ago, I believe just before the NFL playoffs began, I gave my 5 teams that most disappointed me so far this season. And honestly, looking back at that list, if I could make some amendments to it, I would, because ever since then, there have been a couple more teams here that have been just wildly, wildly disappointing. But I'm not here to amend previous history. We cannot trip on what is behind us, boys. We can only go and look to the future. So I am here to give to the people, the hockey fans, the 2 hockey fans that listen to us, and one of them being in Europe right now, that that list that I've been teasing for a bit now, the 5 teams that I am most impressed by and surprised by in the good way this time around, in this NHL season so far. Because of course, last time we had the bad, and I got to give the good this time. Plus, Dame is back. I'm in a good mood. We're in a celebratory mood here on the pod. So, so not to waste any time, of course, and we have stacked football talk. I'm going to run through my 5 teams here as quick as I can. The first team on my list, on who has surprised me with their performance this season, would have to be the Carolina Hurricanes. Now, I'm not surprised by the success per se the Carolina Hurricanes have had this season. I'm not surprised that they're a great team. I've always felt the last couple of years that Carolina's been good. There's some really talented players on that roster. And for them to be 28-9-2 to this point, it's not necessarily surprising per se. What's impressed me about this team is the way they've done it. And the way that this Hurricanes team has done it is not by the offense that we've known. They've had supremely talented offensive players for the last couple of years: Fechnikov, Sebastian Aho, Teravainen, etc., and even adding Kotkaniemi in the offseason. What's impressed me with this team is the defense. They have only allowed 94 goals against to this point in just under 40 games played. That is tied for the least in their division, tied for the best goals against allowed mark in the Eastern Conference and in the league, actually, with 2 other teams. So the Carolina Hurricanes have been absolutely outstanding on the defensive side of things this season. A defensive core that I felt took some, hits in the offseason with losing Dougie Hamilton, at least offensively. Defensively, this team has really been strong, and that also goes with the forward core because there, at least one of their offensively gifted forwards, Sebastian Aho, is also a solid defender, and they have some good defenders all around that lineup. And I got to give credit to the man himself, Frederick Anderson. I had some questions about him in Toronto to the end, but I think one thing that even I forget looking back was the fact that he was hurt, and that injuries, especially at the goalie position, just don't help you. And this season, Anderson has been stellar. He may win the Vezina this year. He's got a goals against of just over 2 and a save percentage of just under 93%. The dude has been a brick wall this season, to say the least. And even Antti Ranta, his backup, has been good as well, with a 5-2-1 record in relief performances. So Carolina just being the defensive team they are this season, of a vast contrast compared to previous years. And I think if they can keep that up, I think them being a lot better defensively is what's going to help them out come playoffs. Speaking of teams that are going to surprise me, and honestly, I have three Metropolitan teams here on this list. I'm going to go to the second one here, just above the Carolina Hurricanes in the standings, are the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Penguins find themselves second in the division to this point, 27, 10, and 5, with 59 points on the season. The shocking thing to me about the Pittsburgh Penguins just overall is the fact that they are this good. And it's not in the same way of Carolina as, well, I'm surprised by the fact that, Pittsburgh defense is good. Well, I'm sort of surprised by that fact. I'm just surprised that they're this good at this point. I've been saying this for at least the last 2 seasons, that them and the Washington Capitals, at some point, there's going to be a steep fall off for these two teams. And while the Capitals, you could say long term, especially, it's going to be a very hairy situation there if this team doesn't do more winning. The Penguins, I thought this was finally going to be the year where we would see some decline from this team in terms of the regular season, for them not to be as strong of a playoff team as they have been for the last majority of the decade. And that's talking about a team that's made the playoffs for about 11 straight years in a row now, boys. But they continue to defy expectations, despite the fact that Sidney Crosby has missed some time this season. Evgeny Malkin has missed a lot of time this season. This team hasn't necessarily been healthy, especially with their top two guys not playing the whole year. But just, time and time again, this team just continues to defy expectations these last couple of years. Like I've said, I've thought for a while that this team was going to have a fall off, and they haven't. And a big part of that, the offense is still doing good. Jake Gensel, 20-goal season. He's on pace to have a 40-goal season by the looks of it. He's talented. Chris Letang has been phenomenal this year. But it really goes down to the goaltending. And while their backup Casey DeSmith hasn't been great, Tristan Jarry has been surprising. Boys, when I tell you the last season that you could have shot a beach ball at the net and Tristan Jarry probably would have let up the goal, that's an understatement. He was just not good in net last season. He was fine at points, maybe above average in certain moments, but he was not that great. This season, it's been completely different. He has a goals against of just 2.12 and a save percentage just under 93%, actually just a hair under Frederick Anderson in that department. So he's been phenomenal this season. He has been a big reason why the Pens are this good, because if he is only like 70% as good as he is up to this point, this team is much farther down in the standings, definitely behind Carolina and also behind the Washington Capitals as well. The Capitals, the reason why the Penguins are on my list and not the Capitals is because I still expected this kind of season from the Capitals and where they find themselves currently, which is being fourth in this division. I still feel the Capitals have another year or two, three may be pushing it, but at least another 2 years, to say the least, of still being I would go into the season as calling them a pretty good regular season team. Pittsburgh, I had some low expectations, especially because of the defensive situation and the goaltending. And I still have some questions about that come the playoffs for this team. I don't think they're playing great right now. I don't know if my questions are necessarily answered for them come the playoffs, because playoff hockey is a different beast, boys. I think, you guys got your first taste of playoff hockey recently, especially with the last playoffs, Dame as well. I think you guys are going to learn very quickly here that playoff hockey, it can really show how real of a regular season team you were, how good of a team you actually are. And I think my questions with the Penguins will be answered by then, but for now they are performing great. And I might as well cap it off here. The last of the teams in the Metropolitan Division that I have on my list of most surprising are the New York Rangers. 28, 11, and 4 to start this season, 60 points, leading the Metropolitan, one of the top teams in the league. Now, I'm not surprised that the Rangers are much better than they were last season. The last 2 years, really, the Rangers actually could have been a playoff team, but inconsistencies have bothered this club. They've had up and down months. In a month where, they'll perform really good, let's say last year, this time in January, they had an above 500 record. In February, they would go below 500. Like, that has been the story of this club the last 2 years. But this season has been completely different, and a massive part of that has been Gerard Gallant stepping in. I loved his hire from day one. I absolutely love the hire that they made of him. That's a guy who led the Vegas Golden Knights in their expansion season to the Stanley Cup final, a guy who led the Florida Panthers to a little bit of success in his time down there. Gerard Gallant just knows how to get a lot out of his guys. He knows how to, make talented teams perform, and he's doing that here with the Rangers. You look up and down this lineup, Adam Fox, last year's Norris Trophy winner, if I'm not mistaken, having another incredible season this year. Artemi Panarin is the superstar that he is. Chris Kreider having a resurgence. It feels like, a lot of people question him, and question is if his contract will ultimately be worth it down the line when he is not going to be the same player. But he's got 30 goals this season, which is wild. Mika Zibanejad playing well. This team offensively, the top of the roster is great. The bottom of the roster isn't necessarily putting up points, but they're playing, strong hockey, defensive hockey. What's amazing about this team is the goaltending. And after he got paid, I believe what was the highest second contract a goalie got after finishing their entry-level deal, Igor Shesterkin has been arguably one of, if not the best goalies in the league this season. His goals against average, of course, there's the magic number here with these goalies, boys. It's just over 2 goals against, but his save percentage is just under 94%. Shesterkin has been the reason, no doubt, why the Rangers are this good. The kid is just different. He's special. Coming out of the KHL, if you followed hockey prospects, you heard of him because the kid was, really talented there in the KHL as well. And it has continued here in the NHL. I'm not necessarily surprised. I figured he'd be good, but he's even surpassing expectations. If you have to name a candidate for the Vezina Trophy, which, for the non-educated hockey fans, that is the award given at the end of the regular season to the most talented goalie, then I think Igor Shesterkin, hands down, is the Vezina Trophy candidate, premier finalist this season. Of course, Frederik Andersen is going to be up there because I mentioned his name earlier, and I think he will get credit, and he should. But Igor Shesterkin has been that kid, that dude this season. And I think, him being in the Big Apple, they've needed something since Henrik Lundqvist retired, and you go from Henrik Lundqvist to this kid. If this kid is really legit, I think that's absolutely outstanding and amazing for them. So I have the Rangers as a surprise. Again, knew they were going to be good. I personally thought that they were a playoff caliber team this year, but to be this good, top of the division good, third in the Eastern Conference good, like that's even more amazing than I could have thought. My next team on my list here is the Calgary Flames. Simply put, I didn't really have a lot of hope for the Calgary Flames coming into this season, and they were actually a lot better early on. They've tailed off just a bit, only going 5-5 in their last 10. They've kind of slowed down as of late, cooling off, you could say. But Calgary still holds the 4th spot in the Pacific Division here, and they're doing a fine job. Johnny Gaudreau is performing well. This team overall, they've always had the talent. It's just whenever they make the playoffs, it just doesn't go well for them. But it's been at least different this season. The top of the roster is going Johnny Gaudreau, like I said, more than well. I should say. I should give him more credit. 51 points in 38 games. Matthew Tkachuk, 20 goals. Elias Lindholm with his great two-way play. He's got 33 points. But again, boys, what has been the key to all these teams so far? The goaltending. Jacob Markstrom being absolutely phenomenal this season. He's also putting up a Vezina Trophy caliber season. And this is the key here, boys, as to what can help make or break a team. It's amazing goaltending, and that's what the Calgary Flames are getting here. Jacob Markstrom, we already knew how talented he was. The Flames disappointed last year because I don't think the defense was strong enough in front of him, and you could see with a little bit of a better defensive-oriented team playing better defensively, that's what you're getting out of him and Markstrom. So him playing phenomenal is a big reason why they're this good. And if Calgary is going to maintain the spot, because the division, they're fighting, and the 3rd seed in the Pacific is going to be highly coveted because I think the wild card spots in the Western Conference belong to the Central. Like, they're going to need to continue to see this kind of effort. And my last team here, I need to cheat a little bit here, so I apologize, boys. I need to give a tie for my most surprising team this season. And that would be the Anaheim Ducks and the Los Angeles Kings, the two SoCal teams. The San Jose Sharks, I really don't care about them. So these two teams, the Ducks and the Kings, frankly, why I'm surprised is because they are currently 2nd and 3rd in the division, and I think they're both a year ahead of schedule. The Ducks and Kings have done a phenomenal job the last couple of years, adding young talent and improving the prospect system. The LA Kings, they've seen some young players and acquisitions from this past offseason doing good. And it's still predominantly the veterans. There's a couple young guys here and there throughout the lineup that are doing their job, but Anze Kopitar being the amazing two-way player that we all know for him to be. Alex Iafallo's been good this season. Some off-season guys that they got in Victor Arvidsson and Philip Danault, who was a big part of Montreal's Stanley Cup final run last year. They've been great. And the goaltending as well. Like, once again, boys, if you take anything from what I've been talking about the last good bit here, so it's that goaltending in this league matters, and that is a big reason why the Kings have been good. Not as strong goaltending as the other teams that I've talked about, but Jonathan Quick being the veteran that he is, Cal Peterson being the great youngster he is, the LA Kings have surprised a lot of people with how good that they've been this season. But even more, you could argue more surprising, I think it's about the same level, were the Anaheim Ducks. Troy Terry has played like an all-star this season with the point streak he had. He's got 37 points leading the team. Trevor Zegras, I knew the kid would be good. I didn't think he'd be this good as a rookie. Yes, as a rookie with 30 points in 39 games. I think, he's played extremely well for he's technically not a rookie because he played 24 games the year before. But if I'm being honest here, like I wish we could count this as his rookie season because he's playing phenomenal here. So in technically his second year, really to me it's his first, but we'll call it. We'll be proper here. In his second season, he's put up absolutely great numbers here. The rest of his team going well. And again, guys, it's it's not so much the goaltending here. John Gibson is a great goalie by reputation. He's not so strong this season, but it's just like the youngsters on this team are performing well after so much good drafting. You have Terry, you have Zegras, you have Lundstrom. Later down in the lineup, you have Jamie Drysdale, who has been a shock to me with how good he's performed this season. Not amazing defensively, but as an offensive defenseman, he's talented. I just think Anaheim, I expect them to be more competitive this year, for them to be second in the division at this point. I think in part because other teams haven't lived up to expectation, but ultimately, Anaheim deserves their flowers. I'm going to give them their flowers here. They've played phenomenal. And if they can keep this going, if these youngsters can continue this throughout the season, because one concern with young hockey teams is always, will they falter out as the season goes? I don't know if I could say that. I think this Anaheim team is too talented. And worst case scenario, if they have some rough offensive nights, John Gibson is still a goalie who can win you games. So I think overall the Anaheim Ducks are set to make a pretty good run here. I think there's a strong chance that they can stay strong and make the playoffs. And at the end of the day, we could see the Anaheim Ducks returning back to hockey. And personally, I like seeing hockey teams succeed. I like seeing the California teams do relatively well because, I think it's good, better for marketing for the league, etc. And Anaheim, hey, you are technically you and the Kings, so my sixth, but my last team here for the teams that has given me the best surprise this season.
All right. Masterful as always, Jurg. Just speechless.
Thank you.
No one does it better. No one does it better. All right, fellas, we move on over to the NFL world where there are things to discuss because we are now done with the divisional round and we move on over to the conference championships. But we have to discuss that divisional round because, hey, universal acclaim. I am seeing greatest divisional round weekend ever. And I ask you two gents, who know the sport more than I do, is that a true statement? Either one of you could go first.
I mean, from what I can't like remember specific divisional round weekends, but like I can't remember the last time I remember this much excitement, this many close games, this many walk off field goals, this many games coming down to the last drive. Like I can't remember all that happening all in one weekend. Maybe I can remember games that like rival certain games or something like that, or division games and rivalries that were better games. But all in all, just four games in the same weekend that were this close and this competitive. I can't remember any weekend being like that.
Yeah, I kind of have to agree with Dame here. Like, it's hard to remember certain divisional playoff weekends because it's like I feel like everyone predominantly remembers like conference championship game weekend more so, and then of course the Super Bowl. Um, but I think I think there's a lot of merit to the statement. I think when you had the first day of it on Saturday with both games coming down to a last second field goal winning, one from a rookie, one from a veteran kicker against a team that he has lost to so many times in his career, being with another organization. And then on Sunday, you have the defending Super Bowl champions going up against, as we spoke about in the pod, one of the most talented teams in the league. And then you had the final game to cap it off, two of the top three, four, five, whatever quarterbacks in the league now, and that will be running the league for the next decade. Um, man, I think there's real merit, and I don't think that you'll get a lot of argument for this being the greatest divisional weekend of all time. I'm sure there's going to be, some of any of our older viewers are going to be like the 1992 divisional round. We don't really care for that. We weren't born for that. We're here for the now. We're here for the present, and this certainly was, to recent memory, the greatest divisional round playoffs that we have seen in quite a while.
Yeah, absolutely. And boy, oh boy, man, the games we got, just the stakes felt at an all-time high. But let's get into it. I say we start off with the NFC because I think the main conversation starter is in the AFC. So we'll end off with that specific game. So yeah, we'll end off with the AFC, start off with the NFC. So you know what? Let's talk about Rams Bucks. Let's start off hot. So Rams win this game to the happiness of so many people. 30-27. Stafford 20 for 38, 366 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Brady 30 for 54, I believe. 329 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Rams move on to the NFC Championship, fellas. Um, Man, the defense. Holy shit, did the defense show up for the Rams? Brady was pressured so many times. And I get it, Wirfs wasn't playing and they were banged up, but, they took advantage when they needed to. I think Stafford really showed up here. And I think the O-line did a great job. This game could have been over, in my opinion, by the half, and not necessarily over because it is Brady, but I feel like it would have been too, steep of a mountain to climb for Brady to come back. But, I think the Buccaneers got that, forced that turnover towards the end of the half when the Rams were near the end zone. So that kind of didn't like give them life, but it essentially didn't cause like a blowout for the Rams because I think it was 20-3 by the half, and it would have been 27-3 by the half, which means 24-point lead. Again, too steep. But yeah, this game could have been over. This game was for the Rams taking by the start, but of course, the Rats come out, dudes shrink when shit matters the most, and my God, did the Rams make so many mistakes that they were just asking the Bucks to come back. They were just asking the Bucks to come back, and they came back. It was 27-27, and then Matt Stafford pulled up, Cooper Kupp pulled up, two insanely clutch throws towards the end, and then of course the Rams win on a field goal. Dame, I'm going to start off with you. Talk to me. What did you think about this game? Take into account everything. How nervous were you that the Rams were about to blow it? Because I think you had the Rams winning, but I know you wanted the Rams to win as also. I think we all wanted the Rams to win. How nervous were you towards the end that the Rams were gonna, blow it essentially? Pause.
Okay. Overall, I think it was. I think Brady made it. Well, not Brady. I'd say the Bucks made it a good game at the end. I'm not gonna give Brady that much credit because the Rams did have four
Yes.
turnovers of their own. So I'm not gonna go there. But I think Stafford definitely outplayed Brady. Stafford didn't have any interceptions. He did have that fumble, but it wasn't on him. It was on the snapper that snapped it way over his head when he wasn't ready. But overall, Stafford I think played better than Brady, and Brady had all the chances in the world to win that game. Obviously, the Bucks defense maybe didn't play as elite as they should have been. You had Stafford with the fumble over his head. You had Cooper Kupp, who never ever fumbles. He fumbled. Cam Akers had two opportunities to ice the game. If he scores a touchdown or just they kick a field goal at halftime, the score is like 30-3, and the Rams are getting the ball back, like that game is over, and the Bucks have absolutely no momentum going into the second half. Cam Akers fumbles at the 1 yard line instead of just going down or scoring a touchdown. Bucks get the ball back and they're kind of feeling good going into halftime. They kind of have a new sort of energy coming out the half, and clearly it showed. And then in the fourth quarter, obviously, Cam Akers fumbles the ball again. When if he got a first down, it would have just iced the game right there. The Bucks would have no time to come back or to mount any kind of comeback. So the Bucks defense gave Brady every single chance he could possibly have to win this game, and he just didn't get it done. So I think most of the blame does fall on him. The Rams play great though. A lot of credit goes to them. Their offense looked great. Their defense, like Chris said, did look great. They put a lot of pressure on Brady, regardless if Tristan Wirfs is out or not. Injuries do happen. Obviously, last year the Bucks didn't have any injuries and benefited them. Uh, on the other side, a lot of teams they did play did have their own injuries that they had to go through. So can't really make excuses. But like I said, I think a lot of this game goes on Brady because I don't think he played a good game at all, and I think a lot of people are looking to make excuses for him.
Jurg.
um, man, were we all not scared there when it's like, God damn it, he's
Petrified.
about to do it
Petrified.
again? 28-3, 27-3. You can't kill the man. You just can't. And then Matthew Stafford made the play that we were like, oh, that's why he's better than Jared Goff. That's why Sean McVay was like, yeah, I want that dude. I don't want to deal with this Jared Goff crap anymore. Um, no, yeah, I think you guys have summarized it best. The Rams were dominating. Chris, we said ourselves on the pod last week, when they put it all together, when they're all the way there, the Rams are arguably the most talented and gifted team in the NFL. The problem is that, sometimes you just make so many bad mistakes and it just piles up on you. And that was a case where Akers And Akers, like, I really feel for the guy because it's like this dude came back from a torn Achilles, like, what, 7 months after the fact? And, like, he's really trying out here for this team. So, like, I really do feel bad for the fumbles. But him fumbling twice, it really gave the Bucs life. Kind of like Dame said, they would have gone into this had the end of the second half not happened in the beginning of the third, and like had the momentum not swung, the Bucs probably would have only had 3 points going into the fourth quarter. But they didn't. They had more than that, and at the end of it, the thing is that whenever you give Tom Brady a chance, like that's the worst possible thing you could do because that dude, like, he's not going to waste his time with chances, and that's exactly what it was looking at. It was looking like once again that this dude was about to pull off another miraculous comeback against a team, and we're all going to be like, my God, what the hell do we have to do to get rid of this dude? Honestly, and the answer is apparently Cooper Kupp saving the day. So at the very end, of course, Matthew Stafford making a throw that, as I said, there's a reason why they wanted him and not Jared Goff. He makes a throw that Jared Goff could only dream of making, whether he was still in LA or now in Detroit. And Cooper Kupp, phenomenal, best receiver in the game this season. They set it up, they win the game, and it's crazy. Like, it is just absolutely insane the way the Rams won this at the end of the day. Matthew Stafford, with all the hype and the emotion in the world with setting up that field goal, you love to see it from a guy who suffered so much in Detroit. Now he gets his first 2 career playoff wins in back-to-back weeks and gets to, compete for a conference championship. You feel good for a guy like that. That talented defense, as we said, they did their job. Like, I know they were giving up points there, but man, that defense is the reason they won that game and why they were so dominant at the start. Aaron Donald, Von Miller, they were beasts, especially Von Miller. You could argue this is the best that Von Miller has looked since the Broncos Super Bowl run those years ago. Like, he's just looking in top form right now. Jalen Ramsey and the defensive back crew, they weren't perfect by any means, but that
Rams
first
got
half,
cooked, bro.
yeah, especially in the second half, most importantly. But yeah, like first half, they were shutting it down. Like, I forget who said this. I heard somebody talk about it and say it this exact way. You saw all the reasons why the Rams are a Super Bowl winning team, like why they are a title team, and at the very same time, you saw the reasons why they could also blow it in one game, which is amazing to see, I must say. But yeah, at the end of the day, they got the win, and that's all that matters. But now, and we're going to talk about it in a moment here, like they're going into a game where it's like you can't be making these mistakes because the other team, they're certainly going to make you pay for it. And I think we're set up for a great NFC Championship game here. And I think the Los Angeles Rams, while they have things to fix up here, man, like it's going good for that team, and it was good for them that they got to win and they got to knock out the champs. And I've always personally said, hey, if you want to be the champs, you got to beat the champs, and they just beat the champs. So we'll see if that leads to anything more.
Thank Christ, man. Thank Christ, bro. Like, man, I was just I had faith in the Rams. I did, and they showed up. They showed up. It's absurd how I hate to say it because like he kind of did do his part towards the end, but Brady, man, the gods have blessed this dude with like the craziest luck. Like, it felt like the world was crashing all at once for the Rams, and like I think Matt Stafford runs like a grandma, bro. Remember when he was like, once they got that fumble, like once they turned the ball over there, because I think Brady turned the ball over there. I think he got sacked, I believe, and then the Rams got it, and then Rams gave it right back. I'm just like, Jesus Christ, man! Like, the Rams, do they not want to win this game? I don't understand. It's just, thank God they did it. You're right, Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp actually did fumble the ball once this game, and I was just like, no, man, like Cooper, him, and then of course he makes up for it towards the end with those 2 clutch passes. And you're right, Jurg. I think Matt Stafford deserves a lot of credit. I know a lot of the talk is, well, Brady finally loses. Matt Stafford did his thing, and I think the O-line did a masterful job in, giving him the time and the space. Let's move on over to the Packers and the 49ers. Hat trick of us being wrong, fellas. The 49ers win 13-10. Jimmy G, 11 for 19, 131 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. Aaron Rodgers, 20 for 29, 225 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Now, guys, I think it was after, the Packers started off this game hot. They scored to start off. It was like 7-0, like a few minutes in. And we're just like, okay, this is it. This is the best team in football. This is the team we've been waiting for. Packers got this. This will be a wrap. To say it looked freezing was an understatement. But yeah, it was 7-0 to start off the game. And then, We expected maybe 24 or something, 27, 30 maybe, but no. Guys, I want to say this. The Niners defense ate Aaron Rodgers for lunch.
Yeah,
For lunch, bro. I could not. Nick Bosa, bro, was just
he's different.
a shark. Yeah, like fuck Bosa, but he was a shark smelling blood, bro. And like he had Rodgers neutralized, and like I just couldn't believe what I was seeing, to be honest. And so the Niners did their shit. They did their job. No one expected them to win. Besides one person that me and Davian know, a very close friend who's a Niners fan. But yeah, they beat the Packers in I guess an upset, a shocker. So, Jurg, I want to go to you first. Takeaways from this game. Takeaways from the Niners, and how this momentum is going to benefit them going into the NFC Championship game. Takeaways, I mean, or predictions for Rodgers, and like geez, man, like, is this a hit on his legacy? Is it? So, Jerry, let me start with you. What do you think?
When you get pressured almost 33% on your dropbacks, like a third of the time you're trying to drop back and the defender's going to get to you within 2 seconds, like it's going to be hard for most quarterbacks to succeed there. Let's be real here. And that was the pressure rate. The San Francisco 49ers defensive line, the front seven, pressured Rodgers on almost 33% of his dropbacks. It's not easy when a third of the time they're going to knock you to the floor either before you get to release the ball or just after you release it. It's just not easy. So I think takeaways, the San Francisco defense, despite the fact there are a couple different pieces from that Super Bowl team a couple years ago. Richard Sherman no longer there because he's just not the same player, but he was a veteran there. DeForest Buckner, of course, long gone. This team chose to pay Eric Armstead, who I disagreed with that back then, and I still don't think in regular season why he's performed well, but he had 2 sacks against Aaron Rodgers. Like you said, Nick Bosa from his rookie season, I've been a massive fan of him on the field. I think the dude's a beast, and he continues to prove why he is like a guy you could build your franchise around. Him and Fred Warner, despite coming into this game banged up, still played a massive role, especially Bosa. The Niners defense is different. It's special, and it can do some damage. And I think for any offensive team in this playoffs, like you have to be concerned with a group like that, especially if your offensive line is not 100%. And David Bakhtiari, like this is just more proof as to why it's important to have great offensive linemen. Because David Bakhtiari, franchise left tackle, $100 million left tackle, not playing in that game, it was a wrap. The Niners defense was able to disrupt everything. And once, I forget what drive it was, if it was the second or the third drive after the touchdown, when the Packers fumbled, I think it was Mercedes Lewis who fumbled it. Everything for that offense changed. It's like all the other pieces on that team just did not want to perform. And it's really disappointing because you look at this team, like Rodgers was having a good game there for a while, but nobody else did absolutely anything. Aside from Aaron Jones and Devontae Adams, the rest of the Green Bay Packers offense accounted for 32 yards totally. A.J. Dillon had 25 rushing yards. Equanimous St. Brown had 1 yard on one carry, and Alan Lazard had a 6-yard catch. And technically, Mercedes Lewis has the reception, but that's also when he fumbled it. So, like, at the end of the day, the Packers offense, yes, it didn't do great. And I would say this is probably, like, of his recent playoff losses, this is the one I would most pin on Aaron Rodgers. But god dang, man, like it just that San Francisco 49ers defense playing so great. And the Packers special teams too. Like you want to talk about where they lost the game? Here's the thing. You can win a game like this being as gritty as it is because the defense was great, but the special teams just choked it. The field goal that was blocked, the amazing return that the Niners had that set up their own field goal, which was their first points, and then the block touchdown. Essentially all of the 49ers points were given to them by the Green Bay Packers, where that last second field goal wouldn't have mattered if the Packers' own field goal isn't blocked and if they figure out the punt. The special teams coach should be fired if we're talking about that. He should be let go because that was just a piss poor performance. And yeah, in terms of Rodgers, well, in terms of 2 takeaways, man, the Green Bay Packers are going to be like a 4-win team next season when Jordan Love is starting because Aaron Rodgers just played his last game in Lambeau. Like it's not even close. I don't think he's staying there. I think he talked about being the last dance. I just don't see him staying, especially with the salary cap hell that this team is going to go through. But the winner, let's focus on the winners here. The 49ers themselves, I think they're going to great momentum. I think the defense is really firing well. If you're going to face an offensively hot team with great weapons, this is how you want your defense performing. And I just think this team, man, like a lot of people, a lot of people talk about like them being a warm weather team, but they don't realize that they play like a quote unquote cold weather team. And we need to get rid of
Mm.
those stereotypes because the Niners, they play great defense, they hit you in the mouth, they run the ball, they barely want their quarterback to pass it, to limit him and make sure he doesn't make too many mistakes. That is a goddamn cold team. Like they don't care that they have to go in Lambeau. If anything, it meant that Kyle Shanahan couldn't mess up the game plan by getting too cute with it. So like that game was helping San Francisco. I don't know why everyone was pointing out the weather. If anything, it hurt Aaron Rodgers in that team more because the Packers are not a rushing first team. Like they're not. So at the end of the day, I don't understand why everyone was playing into that. If anything, it's better for San Fran, and it played into their hands, and they won. And at the end of the day, it's the better executing team. And the special teams for the Niners, like it's amazing. All three of the San Francisco 49ers coordinators could be interviewed for head coaching gigs within the next 2 years. That's how great of a staff Kyle Shanahan has put together here. And he himself, like, look, Matt LaFleur, I think he's a good coach, relatively speaking. But Kyle Shanahan's better than him, simply put. So yeah, that's just all I have to say about that. San Fran, they deserve to win. They
Hmm.
executed a lot better. They made the smarter plays. They made the big plays, and Green Bay didn't. So yeah,
This is obviously a very close game, and most people had the Packers winning clearly, including myself, and I was rooting for the Packers, obviously. As for Aaron Rodgers, I think he played good enough to win, but I don't think he was at the top of his game because I think if he was at the top of his game, I don't think anybody in the league could beat the Packers. But
agreed.
I don't think he was bad at all. I know a lot of people kind of shitting on him and saying this is gonna hurt his legacy, this and that. But he played pretty well. Like he didn't turn the ball over. He had like 250 yards or something like that. Obviously, like Jurg said, he was pressured on a third of his dropbacks, which is extremely tough to deal with. And throwing for the efficiency that he did throw with, like that's incredibly impressive. I think a lot of it has to go on the receivers not getting open because most of the catches and yards went to Aaron Jones and Devontae Adams. Like no one else is getting open. This has to do with the Packers front office just refusing to get Aaron Rodgers any kind of help. And if they once Aaron Rodgers moves on and they start getting Jordan Love all these kind of weapons and drafting skill position players in the first and second round, like that's gonna be extremely frustrating for me to see. Even though I'm not a Packers fan, it's just gonna be frustrating to see that they will do that for a guy like Jordan Love who has proven nothing, but won't do that for a guy like Aaron Rodgers who brought them a Super Bowl. Um, However, special teams I think is the reason they did lose because say they hit that field goal before the half, the Niners don't have any momentum going into the half. They still don't know how to stop that offense. Their own offense doesn't know what they're doing. They have absolutely no kind of energy coming out into the second half with the ball. So I think if they kick that field goal and if they don't get that pump block and just be able to get it off and uh, make the 49ers offense score a touchdown, which I don't think they were going to do. I think that game would have been over. The 49ers literally did not score a touchdown in the game. It was field goals and then the punt block for a touchdown. Even if they blocked it and got at like the 15-yard line, I'm still not confident the 49ers would have scored a touchdown. So I think most of the blame, not all of it, obviously, but I think most of the blame does go on that special teams because as long as they get that field goal off and that punt off, I think the Packers, although it would be an ugly loss and they wouldn't have looked that impressive, I think they definitely would have been in the NFC Championship right now. And who knows? Who knows what will happen in the NFC Championship against the Rams with the Rams going into Lambeau. But yeah, as for Aaron Rodgers' future, obviously I don't think he's going to be there. There's a lot of options for him going where he could go, and I know he said that he wants to get this resolved sooner rather than later because of his teammates' futures and all that kind of stuff. So I think he's considerate based on that. So yeah, I think Aaron Rodgers is obviously gone, and I think a lot of the blame goes on the special teams.
For being such a terrible teammate all this time, he really cares about his teammates' futures. If he's trying to make sure he can do this quick, huh? Like just every single narrative about him for so long has been in part because of what this organization has wrought. And like you said, Dame, I, when they start actually trying to make the right decisions because they now have a quarterback you need to make everything perfect around, when you could have just done the same thing for Rodgers, who was a Hall of Fame quarterback who brought you that Super Bowl, like it's absolutely just disgusting to see. So I'm going to be very happy when this organization hopefully becomes like the new Detroit Lions of the NFC North because I don't want this team to succeed if he leaves. I really don't. And yeah, I'm sorry, Jordan Love. I have nothing against you, but this is what that organization is going to get. Sorry, bud.
I mean, not much I could say to that.
Yeah, because you
But
hate Aaron Rodgers, so shut up.
a W for science. I don't give a fuck. Get the fuck out of here, bro. Take that L.
Shut up.
All right. Nah, see, I was, part of me was just like, if I'm like, all right, the Packers are the only ones I think that could beat the Bucks. Then the Rams beat the Bucks. I'm like, you know what? Never mind. I don't feel too bad about it. So W for science, W for Pfizer, W for Moderna. Fuck
Yeah,
that.
go fuck
Aaron
yourself.
Rodgers, go rot, bro. Um, yeah, but I mean, Nick Bosa won, so double L for
Yeah,
me,
exactly. So
regardless.
shut up.
I mean, bro, why didn't he ask his good friend Joe Rogan for advice on how to
Oh
beat the
my god.
Oh
49ers?
my
0 and
god,
4
man.
now,
Shut
bro.
up.
0 and
Shut
4.
up.
All right, let's move on over to the AFC now. All right, Bengals, Titans. Bengals win 19-16, much to the chagrin of Jurg, who I know wanted the Titans to win this one. Tannehill, 15 for 24, 220 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions, 3 interceptions, and like 1 to immediately start the game, which is hilarious. Side note: Henry on his first game back after a foot fracture, 62 yards, 1 touchdown. It was great to see him back. Joe Burrow, Joe Shiesty, 28 for 37, 348 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. Guys, the Bengals are going to the AFC Championship. Wow, it feels weird saying that, but it's happening. Joe Burrow is that guy. Now, this game was an interesting one because it didn't go off, but it was like close throughout. The Bengals seemed to have they had control of the game, and then I think the Titans came back towards the end there to tie it up. I think the Titans defense actually showed up for this game, man. Like they did
9
really well.
sacks. It's
Why do you gotta
crazy.
yell at me, bro? I get it. All right, yeah, 9 sacks. But you know what? I think the Titans defense was good. I think the Bengals O line was even more awful though. Right? Good lord, I think that was like one of the worst O line performances I've ever seen. Granted, I haven't seen a lot, but Jesus Christ, man, I feel like say for example the Bengals go to the Super Bowl and they play either the Niners or the Rams.
Oh god.
I'm worried for Joe Burrow's life, bro. I'm
He
worried
may
because that
not make it out the
that
arena.
that defense might kill him. God forbid. But
He might
look,
lose a limb.
let's just talk. Well, let's just talk about the pros here. I think everyone wanted Joe Burrow to win. I think more so Joe Burrow than the Bengals, but the Bengals did win. They came up clutch towards the end there, and now, fellas, Bengals win, and they go to the AFC Championship. Now we're going to talk about the predictions after this one. But Jurg, based on what you saw, takeaways from the game, takeaways from the Titans, your team, takeaways from the Bengals, how this momentum is going to impact them in the Chiefs game, and can they carry on that momentum? Will it carry on, do you think? So I know they played each other like 2 weeks before the season ended, and
Yep.
they actually beat the Chiefs.
Yep.
So I think, I know it's the Chiefs, but the Bengals have to be confident after this Titans W, especially because Titans. There was a lot of chat. Look, the Titans got the bye week. They were the first seed in the AFC. Derrick Henry's coming back. There was so much talk in Derrick Henry coming back. They're just like, well, it's over now. Hey, man, I think they neutralized that Titans offense pretty well, in my opinion. So, yeah, Jurg, talk to me.
Boys, when you work weekends like me and you work early as heck, you gotta go to sleep early. So I didn't get to watch. I did watch this game, but I gotta tell you, there were feelings watching this game. But and honestly, Saturday night was kind of a blur to me, honestly, because I wasn't feeling the best. So when I woke up Sunday morning, early hours to get to work, when I saw the box score and I saw the notification, and I was reminded of the beauty that was the Cincinnati Bengals defeating the Tennessee Titans in that game. I gotta tell you, the headache I had the day before disappeared. The stuffy nose I had the day before, my sinuses were clear. Boys, it was dark as hell outside at 3 a.m. in the morning, but for a second, I thought the sun was coming up early to shine bright on a brand new day. I walked into work, and all my ailments went away. Now, did I start feeling way worse after work was over? Oh, yeah, the feeling can only last for so long. But, it felt so good to finally have the world see that Ryan Tannehill is not allowed to ever be in the top 10 quarterback discussion again. And the Tennessee Titans are not allowed to be in the Super Bowl conversation with the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs. My God, it was good. It was so good. If there was a church near me, I would have gone to church and sung the Lord's praises on that Sunday after work. It's Sunday, boys. It's God's day. God's day. But I settled with going to work and cutting video of all three of Ryan Tannehill's interceptions. I wanted to personally thank the producer for assigning that one to me right there. That just made my Sunday, which was not a great Sunday at the end of it, so I was very happy at the beginning. Now, my fun aside, the fact that Joe Burrow completed as many passes as he did, had that good of a game as he did. He didn't throw a touchdown, but he played masterfully, didn't make any bad mistakes. It just goes to show that even though he was on his back for half that game, the kid is just different. A lot of quarterbacks, when that's happening to them, when their team may be struggling, they're yelling, they're screaming, they're getting frustrated. This is Joe Cool 2.0. This is the new Joe Cool. I've been saying this for weeks. Hell, I've been saying it since like halfway through the season. And this kid has it. Whatever it is. And I sometimes hate when people say that word because it's like, how do you quantify that? No. Not in this case. Joe Burrow has it. The kid's got the touch. He's got the swagger. He's got the confidence. He's got the machismo. He's got the Joe Coolness literally behind him. It's amazing. He's supremely talented. And him being talented, the rest of the team sees that, and it's like, by God, we got to keep on going. So he's amazing. He's outstanding. This team, of course, like you said, Chris, the offensive line was terrible. I think any of us could have gotten Joe Burrow for a sack in that game. The Titans got to him 9 times, but can't put it on the Tennessee defense. At the end of the day, like I said last week, tell me not, Chris. I said at the end of the day, it's going to come down to the offense, and it's going to come down to throwing. Even though the Titans' running game actually wasn't super terrible, it was just Derrick Henry wasn't 100%. But if you're telling me Joe Burrow versus Ryan Tannehill, people had their trust in Ryan Tannehill. That was the best joke I heard all weekend. People trusted Ryan Tannehill, man. It was the greatest. But yeah, no, the Bengals, they kept the game close, and at the end they won it, and they deserved it. And the Tennessee Titans, sayonara, c'est la vie, Cancun on 3, and I hope you go to the same vacation spot that Ben Roethlisberger is going to this spring and summer as well. Kindly make your way out, boys.
Dame.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I was going on vacation, but anyways,
Okay.
I had the Bengals winning this game, and I'm not surprised that they did win, but I'm surprised it was kind of this close. I was expecting it to be a lot more, maybe like a 10-point game or something like that. Big credit goes to that Bengals kicker, man. That guy is gonna be. I'm not gonna say the next Justin Tucker, but he's gonna be in the league for a long time, making big kicks for a long time. I wish the Jets had a kicker like that, but the Jets kicker situation might be worse than their QB situation, honestly. Um, but as for the actual game, I mean, I'm not surprised with what happened. Ryan Tannehill sucks. He's not that good. Obviously, Derrick Henry came back. He looked okay. He had a touchdown, but obviously, first game back after missing so much time with a foot fracture, he wasn't going to be that same dominant guy that got 40 carries and had 150 yards, 200 yards. So without Derrick Henry being that guy, this is the kind of this is the kind of offensive performance you're going to get from Ryan Tannehill. At the end of the game, he had a chance to win, and then he throws a pick, and then there come the Bengals to hit the game-winning field goal. So that's literally how I would expect the game to go. Ryan Tannehill just throwing it away. But the concern for the Bengals going forward is obviously that offensive line. The Titans' defense is all right. I wouldn't even say it's all right. It's not even that good. And they definitely don't have elite pass rushers that say like the Chiefs have with Chris Jones or Aaron Donald or Nick Bosa going forward. So that's definitely something to look ahead to if the Bengals do win this game, or even going into this game, like I said, with Chris Jones. It's obviously something that maybe wasn't that much of a problem this year. That offensive line is actually pretty good, and that's why people are like, "Oh, this is why you take Jamar Chase." Like the offensive line is fine, but so what happened with 9 sacks against the defense that's not that good, and we're gonna see what happened with the Chiefs, and if the God forbid upset the Chiefs, what's gonna happen against two of the best defenses in the league in the Rams and the Niners. So impressed with the Bengals, not really surprised with the Titans, and we'll see what happens going forward.
All right. Okay. Let's move on over to game of the year, possibly greatest game ever, or maybe recency bias. Who knows? Chiefs, Bills. Chiefs beat the Bills 42-36. Fellas, the game lived up to the hype. Mahomes versus Josh Allen. You know, I like the game was. I don't know. I think people are still talking about it now, and they're going to be talking about it for a while. And my God, so much happened. So much happened. But the Chiefs won 42-36. Mahomes 33 for 44, 3 touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown. 0 interceptions. Josh Allen 27 for 37, 329 yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Guys, Man, flawless quarterback duel. Flawless. I don't think either of them made mistakes. Both of them were game, and I did not think someone could go toe to toe with Mahomes when he's on fire, but Josh Allen did. And man, it's Tyrann Mathieu. I think got hurt in the beginning, so and I think that really showed. His absence really showed towards the end there. You saw. Oh man, the amount of open touchdowns that the Bills had towards the end was like astonishing. But this game was exhilarating. It went to overtime. I think the Bills won this game like 4 times, and then the Chiefs won it at the end. But Lord Almighty, it's I think a lot of people, Jurg, we talked about this. A lot of people had the Bills winning, and the Bills technically won 3 times. But then Mahomes does Mahomes things. The Chiefs offense does Chiefs things. I just want to say this. It was 29-26, Buffalo up with a minute and 54 left. Then it was 29-33, Chiefs up with a minute and 2 left. Then it was 36-33, Bills up with 13 seconds left. And then Mahomes, magician, wizard, got them within field goal range in like 9 seconds, actually, I believe. And then it was 36-36 by the end of regulation. And then the Chiefs win in overtime, 42-36. So yeah, guys, there's a lot to say about this game. And I know there's a lot of banter about, well, they got to change the overtime rules. Guys, this has been a discussion for a while. I don't understand this. I heard that the Chiefs tried to change this rule after, the Pats beat them in 2018, I believe, or something like that. And then, the whole league opted against it. So what are we doing here? It's just like, come on now. It's this conversation always, like, I know it was exhilarating and I know everyone wanted Josh Allen to have a chance to tie it up or something. But come on now. Rules have been the rules for a while. This discussion has been a thing for a while. I think just because the game was so legendary that the discussion pulls back up. But got to tell you, man, me and Dame are friends with a lot of people that wanted the Bills to win, that wanted Josh Allen to beat Patrick Mahomes. Can't beat the king. Come at the king, you best not miss. And Josh Allen didn't necessarily miss, but what could you do? It's just rules are rules. I don't think anyone outplayed one another. I think they were both flawless. But I'm seeing a lot of people saying, "Well, Josh Allen outplayed." I'm like, did he though? I don't think he did, brother. I don't know if we're watching the same game, man. But Mahomes is the king, man, and AFC Championship, he's back there again, 4 for 4 as he's taken over the quarterback position for the Chiefs. Man, it could have been 4 Super Bowls. Who knows? But, God has a mysterious way of, operating sometimes. So, Dame, let me go to you first. Just thoughts. Just give me your thoughts.
Definitely the best game I've ever seen. And obviously people have been watching the game longer than me and alive longer than me have said the same thing. 2 incredible quarterback performances. I know I've been hard on Josh Allen and the Bills, especially Josh Allen throughout the year, saying how I think he was gonna have a down year and he wasn't the quarterback that really deserved that contract. But oh man, if he has games like this in the playoffs where it matters the most, like I take everything I said back. Like he absolutely deserves that contract that he got. And as long as he shows a little bit more consistency and just has performances like this in the playoffs where it really matters, that's all that really matters at the end of the day. As for Patrick Mahomes, man, all you people that started the season saying Mahomes is washed, Mahomes is in this, Mahomes is not the best quarterback in the league, like he's not even the best quarterback in the division. Justin Herbert's better than him. Justin Herbert's coming for him. Josh Allen's better than him. Mahomes isn't going to make the playoffs. Mahomes is going to lose in the first round. He's going to get upset by the Steelers. The Bills are going to beat him, although I did have the Bills, but that was a pretty stupid mistake. But all these people that were doubting the Mahomes specifically throughout the entire year, saying he's not the same and his first couple years were just flukes. Like, where are you now? Like, what else can you possibly say about this guy? Like, the performance that he put on in this game in the times that mattered the most are something I've never seen before. Oh, it wasn't just one drive. Like, it was over and over and over again that his team needed him the most, and he just did spectacular things that no other quarterback in the league can possibly do. Just think about it. He needed to go 50, 60 yards with 13 seconds left, and in 2 plays, he just got it done. Bang, bang. He made it look so easy, too. There was no rolling out and kind of getting out of pressure or anything. That was just boom, boom. Like he knew exactly what he was going to do at that very moment. So all I have to say about this game is two incredible quarterback performances. I think Josh Allen really propelled himself to be arguably the second best quarterback in the entire NFL because I think Patrick Mahomes just has that number one spot locked into himself, and then there's a big gap. Going down to two is kind of like Nick Wright kind of said this, but it really is true. So I'm just gonna reiterate it. It's like LeBron in his prime when he was on the Heat. Like there's really no debate for who's the best player in the league. Like it's him, and then the debate is starting at second, and there's a big gap between one and two. So that's where I think Mahomes is right now. Obviously, he still has a ways to go with the AFC Championship and the Super Bowl, but if he plays like the way he did in the first two playoff games, like there's absolutely nobody stopping this team.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. You guys have said it best with two statements that say it best. Dame, I think you're right. Yes, Josh Allen's great. Yes, Justin Herbert is phenomenal. And yes, Joe Burrow's talented. But it's Patrick Mahomes, and there's everyone else just fighting for second place. Because it don't matter how many Super Bowls you win in this era, there ain't no quarterback more talented in this next generation than Patrick Mahomes. That's it. That's a wrap. And it's extremely phenomenal what him and this team have done. Like you said, Chris, AFC Championship appearance at minimum every single year that he has taken over for that team these last 4 years. This is just a whole different level of winning. He's a different type of dude. The game in and of itself was amazing. The teams went back and forth. The Chiefs had it for a bit, then the Bills, and then it was really a lot of Bills, but then Mahomes and them came charging back. Two fun fact stats, actually, about the end of the game. First, I don't know if it was just the final couple of possessions. Maybe it was a little bit more than that, but like Patrick Mahomes, in some way, the last like however many minutes of the game, he passed for 188 passing yards. And one of my friends who's like a Washington football team fan was like, the Washington football team by themselves over the last 15, 20 years have had like almost 20 games of their quarterback finishing a game with less than 188 passing yards. And Mahomes had that over a couple of possessions. And then another crazy stat I saw was like the Bills and the Chiefs in the fourth quarter and overtime alone, more points in that fourth quarter and overtime than the Giants had over the last month of the regular season. Probably the Jets too, actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
You didn't have to bring up that last part, Jurg. You just said the
And
Giants.
I'm just
Jeez.
saying. I'm just saying. But yeah, man, it's just that game was phenomenal. Like you guys have said it. I think for me, this is the greatest game that we have seen in especially in the playoffs. But I think you could argue at all because unlike some high scoring games, it wasn't one team had a 20+ point lead over the other for a majority of the game and then was come back. No, no, no. It was legitimately back and forth. This was like a classic heavyweight boxing match in the past with like Ali Frazier or when Mike Tyson was at the top of the world. Like this was literally hit for hit, punch for punch, blow for blow, and whoever got that final hit was getting it, man. And Patrick Mahomes proved a couple things. He proved that 13 seconds is still too much time. It's plenty of time for him. Him and Travis Kelce proved how phenomenal they were because they actually talked about it on that final play. They were going into the huddle. They said that while doing that play, if an opening came for Kelce to switch the route that he was running, that they were going to do that. So that actually wasn't even the design play, that final Kelce catch in regulation to set up the field goal. That was like in an instant with what the defense gave them. That's just supreme and different talent right there for the two of them to be able to do that. And then in overtime, you said it yourself, Chris, when you come out the king, you best not miss. And the Bills, they had a lot of hits, but they had that one final miss, and that was the defense, man. The offense did its job, but the defense just couldn't at the end of the day. The Chiefs, they won that game, and they're going on to potentially make another run here at another Super Bowl. It's crazy to see just how supremely talented this team is and how special it is. And like you guys said, I know people myself that picked against the Chiefs that wanted them to lose. I have a friend who was complaining about the overtime rules, and I literally told him, it's like, well, this was his thought process. It's like, bro, Josh Allen was so good that game. The Chiefs defense wasn't going to stop him. I'm like, but Patrick Mahomes is so good. The Bills defense got that chance and they failed. Isn't that the same thing? And he was just like, no. It's like, okay, so you just wanted the Chiefs to lose at this point. Like your bias is showing. So at the end of the day, man, the Chiefs, they deserved it. It's not like Josh Allen did. Josh Allen did all he could have at the end of the day. The Kansas City Chiefs are going to the AFC Championship game. They're competing for another Lombardi Trophy, and that team is just so damn good, so damn talented. And we all just gotta appreciate it, man, because this kind of
Mm-hmm.
greatness, like we're getting lucky that we're getting to see this early on from this team and from this quarterback, and we need to be thankful of it. because not everyone is going to last 2 decades like the Patriots. Who knows how long this is going to last? So I'm just going to personally enjoy it while we have this time with Mahomes and this team. And yeah, and oh yeah, like you said, Dane, all you idiots halfway through the season that thought the Chiefs were done. That's why some of us, me included, picked the Chiefs every single week in the regular season because we knew
Yep,
this would
never
happen
changed.
eventually. Like, come on now.
No, never a doubt. Never a doubt. But I think unsung hero of that game was also Tyreek Hill, man. Tyreek Hill made some crazy clutch plays, bro. That dude's speed, holy shit. Like, I know Mahomes is a god, but man, does Tyreek Hill make his job a lot easier for him,
Dude, he
bro?
gave the peace sign on his last touchdown like 15 yards before he got into
He's
the
just
end
what a
zone.
beast, man. What a beast. Ah, great time. Mahomes solidifies himself as, most talented QB of all time. Brady gets eliminated. All is well. Air is clean. All right, guys. Final predictions here. Bengals, Chiefs. We'll start off with this one. Because I think it's a hat trick here. I think we're all going Chiefs. I'm gonna show some respect to Joe Burrow and thinking that I'm predicting this could be, possibly a close game for a bit. And then I think the Chiefs will just take it at the end. Um, I just think the Chiefs have way too much momentum on their side, and I think Mahomes is going to do Mahomes things. Um, this isn't the regular season. I think they're dialed in now. I'm going to assume actually that Tyrann Mathieu will be back. So I don't think if Matthew plays, I don't think the Bengals are going to get you know easy touchdowns like the Bills got against the Chiefs this past week. Defense still needs some work, obviously, but I do think with Tyrann Mathieu back, I think everything will be set in motion for them, for the Chiefs, and I think it's theirs for the taking. But hey, I'm not vehemently rooting against the Bengals. I just want the Chiefs to win, and I think it'll be make for a better Super Bowl matchup. All due respect, but yeah, this is great though. This is great. Like two likable ass quarterbacks playing off against each other in the AFC Championship. Hey, that has to be Burrow, but I'm gonna go with Mahomes and the Chiefs here. Jurg, what about you? Keep it brief if you want.
Yeah, I agree. I'll keep it brief here. Like all at the end of the day, all due respect, like Joe Burrow and this team has been amazing. I said last week, him and Jamar Chase are going to be one of, if not the best QB to wide receiver connections over the next couple of years. There's some talent on this team, and I think they could be a good team in this conference for a while. I said this previously in this week on another podcast. Mahomes, Herbert, Burrow, Allen over the next like 15 years, it's one of those four quarterbacks that's going to be in the Super Bowl out of the AFC. And if it's not one of those four teams making it, then to me it's a wild year because those
It's
are
Jets.
those are the
Zach
four.
Wilson.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I'll let that slide. But yeah, it's going to be one of those four guys over the next 15 years doing it, and it's just amazing that the true quarterback talent that the AFC has. But yeah, this time it's the Chiefs. It's not the Bengals' time yet. Hey, amazing year for them. Year ahead of schedule, you could say, for making it this far. Like phenomenal. I fear for people having way too high expectations of them next season, and I do feel really bad for Joe Burrow next season if they don't do
Yeah.
as great in the playoffs. But that's not on them. Like they made it this far, they deserve their credit for the future. But for now, it's still the Chiefs' time. It's still Mahomes' time. Going with Kansas City.
Yeah, I'm going with Kansas City too, just simply based off the fact that Patrick Mahomes is a quarterback compared to I don't care who's on the other side. And they're obviously regular season the Bengals beat them, but they were in Cincinnati. Now they're in Kansas City in the playoffs, one of the loudest environments ever. Like the Chiefs got this. Mahomes got this.
Man, Arrowhead, bro, is just like it's like playing 2-on-1. That's how like crazy that stadium is, bro. Jesus Christ. Hey, that's no like come on, bro. It's not it's like it's how's it the Chiefs' fault that their fans are, making their presence known? It's not. But it's easy to get rowdy when your quarterback is, a goat. But all right, let's move on over to the NFC Championships. I think this is the more interesting game. I think Rams versus 49ers. I know the Niners won 2-0 against them, I believe, in the regular season. Man, I think, the Rams have a quarterback advantage because Stafford's better than Garoppolo. I think this is going to be tough, in my opinion. It's going to be tough. I think both defenses are going to show up. I'm gonna pick the Rams on this one. I'm gonna pick the Rams on this one. I think that W against the Bucks has given them so much confidence, and yeah, I'm gonna give the 49ers respect because I think the defense is gonna show up. Jimmy G hasn't been spectacular, but he does get the job done. I don't know how to explain it, but he does get the job done. I think Debo's gonna play. Debo's been playing like a goddamn superstar. I think he is a superstar. So I think I'm going to go with the Rams, but I think this is going to be closer than a lot. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think it's going to be a close game. I think both defenses are going to show up. But I do think the gap between Stafford and Jimmy G will be apparent. And I think, Cooper Kupp and OBJ, both. OBJ has really picked it up, especially. So I think I think they'll learn from the mistakes they made against the Bucks. They'll adjust. I believe. I think I have faith in McVay as a coach. And yeah, I think they'll take this game, but it'll be close. It'll be close because I'll give the Niners defense some respect because I do think the momentum and the confidence that the Niners got from beating the Packers could make this game go either way. But ultimately, I'm going to go with the Rams. Like Jurg, we've talked about it, so we've been a dead horse. When they're on, they're on. I think their talent's going to overshadow the Niners here. But again, I thought the Packers' talent would overshadow the Niners, but that didn't happen. But I don't know. I'm just Rams, and I'm hoping for the Rams because Rams Chiefs Super Bowl would be awesome to watch. Jurg?
Whew, man, this one is extremely difficult because first off, as I low key wanted at the beginning of the season, we are getting two NFC West squads going at it here at the end of the season because the NFC West, at the start was talented and maybe not the two that a lot of people would have thought going into it, but the two that we have nonetheless is the Rams is the San Francisco 49ers, Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, two amazingly talented defenses, two offenses that can do with some great weapons. Cooper Kupp, Deebo Samuel, the running game of the 49ers, the Matthew Stafford being a great quarterback. Who to pick, who to win, dude, it's hard. I know a lot of people are going to point to San Francisco winning both regular season matches, but I'm kind of iffy on that because how often does a team get to hat trick sweep? Like, I feel like that third game is a dangerous game, man. And I know San Francisco has some great momentum, but so do the Rams with beating the champs. I think they discovered some things about themselves. I think there's some motivation there for them, being the fact that the Niners have beaten them this many times in a row. This is hard, but I've trusted the Rams in the NFC Championship game in a close one before, and I have to do it again. I'm going to go just barely here with the Los Angeles Rams to win this game, maybe by like 6, like 30-24 type game, something like that, 30-23, like some kind of close score. It's not I don't think it'll be a blowout. I think the Niners have proven themselves. I think they deserve to get to this point. Well, at least the defense, not so much Jimmy G, but the rest of that team. And yeah, I think they're so talented. I think Jimmy G, this is finally going to be the game where he hurts them because I don't think they can
Yeah.
afford to just run forever.
That
Like,
defense is going to smother him, bro.
yeah, that defense, if they get to Jimmy G way too much, like, yeah, you can be super creative with Debo in that running game, but if you're on like 3rd and 24 because Jimmy G missed a pass and then got sacked for 14 yards, hard to scheme your way out of that one, man. So at the end of the day, I'm gonna run with the Rams here on this one. Close, like I said, because San Fran, like, I've been a lot higher on them the last couple seasons than most. I still believed in them to be a playoff team, even though halfway through the season it was looking rough. Heck, I picked them for a majority of their playoff run a couple years back, when they did make the Super Bowl. So I believed in San Francisco a lot the last couple years, and maybe I should be now. Maybe they're gonna come back to bite me. But I gotta pick Los Angeles here. I just do.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Rams as well. I'm gonna clean sweep this on the NFC side as well. I just think they're a superior team. They have better talent all around, in my opinion, even on defense. Even though Niners defense is so great, I think the Rams defense is even better. Then you have the quarterback, the running back, the wide receivers, I think, and head coach. I think McVay is better than Shanahan as well. I think overall they're a better team. I know the Niners beat them twice in the regular season, and that's more of a reason I think the Rams are going to win because you just never, ever, ever see a team that swept the team in the regular season, then played in the playoffs, and then go for 3 in a row. Like, it just never happens. You saw with the Bucks last year with the Saints. The Saints beat them twice, and then the Bucks beat the brakes off them in the playoffs. Like, that is just a superstitious thing, I guess, to me, but it's just never happened in NFL history, and I don't think it's going to happen now. Stafford obviously is far more superior than Jimmy G, and like you guys said, like, it's just about time that Jimmy G just screws them over. He's obviously been doing enough to win these games, barely, but now they're going into LA against this Rams and a lot better defense. I think he's finally gonna hurt them, and he's just not gonna be able to make the plays that he needs to win the game. I do think it's going to be close as well. I think they're going to walk it off a field goal. Unlike the other game in the AFC, where I think it's going to be more than just a 1-possession game. I think this game is going to come down to 1 possession. And Matthew Stafford is going to drive down the field and put them in field goal range. And I think Matt Gay is going to just kick them into the Super Bowl. And I think the Rams versus Chiefs Super Bowl, I hope it's like that one Monday night game that we had or Sunday night game that we had a couple years ago where it was like a 55-50 game. Like, I hope that's the kind of Super Bowl we get. So let's hope the Bengals and Niners don't get in the way of that. Because God forbid we get a Bengals-Niners Super Bowl. I
God.
might throw up.
I will throw up, but yeah. But you're right, Dame. If we get like a Chiefs Rams Super Bowl that goes the same way as it did in 2018, but with a different result, we want the Chiefs to win, of course. That'd be great. That would be awesome. Yeah. So that'll do it for this week. Star-studded week. We got Dame back. The takes were just all over the place, but they were elite as always. Jurg, where can they find us on the socials?
Guys, you already know it is the SomeWhatSports Instagram page where you can catch our playoff predictions. Last 2 weeks have been fun. 2 weeks left, guys. It feels so crazy. Feels so emotional. I'm kind of getting choked up. But, the season is coming to an end with the playoffs and, of course, the high-stakes games that we have put on this entire time. It is sure to be interesting, to say the least. And, of course, to listen, if you just mainly follow us, if you find us through the Instagram page, and if you want to hear the breakdown and analysis of our predictions, what we think of the going-ons in all sports. Of course, it's predominantly been the NFL, but we have talked about baseball, we've talked about basketball, we talk hockey, of course, and myself especially. You just got to come here to the YouTube page, here somewhat space then sports on the YouTube, listen to our most recent episodes, listen to some of the past ones we've done. We've done some great draft stuff in the past. The NFL draft, like it's a ways away, but it feels like it's slowly approaching, boys. It's only fun times ahead here. We get past this winter, the spring and the summer is going to be beautiful. The Somewhat Sports Podcast, it keeps on going, keeps on growing, and we're just getting better week by week.
Yeah, masterfully put as always, Jurg. Beautifully put. So Jurg and Dame, thank you as always to all the listeners listening. If you made it this far, we appreciate the out of you. Until next time, peace.
Peace.